When I was 14, I planned my wedding.
This One's Wife. 10 Reasons Why Harry is Trapped. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I've explained before that when it comes to the dynamic between the narcissist and the intimate partner primary source, there are 3 dynamics that exist. The first is where the narcissist disengages from the intimate partner primary source. In other words, the narcissist is the one who gets rid, and there are 5 triggers for that to happen. The second reason is where the victim escapes. They've essentially had enough, or it might be that they're persuaded to depart as a consequence of some kind of intervention. The third dynamic is where there is neither disengagement nor escape, resulting in the fact that the victim remains chained to the narcissist and the roller coaster of devaluation, respite period, devaluation, respite period continues for decades until one of the parties eventually dies. Those are the 3 dynamics that exist in an unhealthy ensnarement. It's actually the case that the prospects of Harry departing have increased as a consequence of the devaluing behaviour, but it still hasn't got him over the line for departure because there are 10 factors which are keeping him trapped. And I'm going to explain to you what those factors are, as they're not only pertinent to Harry, but some of them are also applicable to individuals who are caught in the grasp of the narcissist when they are the intimate partner primary source victim of that narcissist. The first reason is the desire to return to the golden period. All narcissists provide golden periods to their victims, save where a bronze period has occurred. However, in relation to the dynamic between Harry and this one's wife, he certainly received a golden period. This was when he thought that he'd met his queen, his soulmate, his partner for life, his angel, his saviour. Describe it as you will. This was the period of time when every day was great fun. Lots of sex, exciting chit-chat, shared ideas, shared interests. Everything was new, shiny, and exciting. He was caught up on that. Somebody that appeared to place him first over everything else for the first time in his life. He didn't have to come runner-up to William with regard to the provision of sausages. He didn't have to be the spare in relation to his brother. He didn't have to be down the pecking order in relation to Pa. Here, he was king of his own court, worshipped, apparently, by this one's wife. The golden period is hugely intoxicating. It happens when the narcissist love bombs the victim and seduces them. And the fact is that it proves so intoxicating, so overwhelmingly wonderful, that one of the reasons why the victim remains trapped with the narcissist is their desire to get it back. Quite simply, driven by emotional thinking, they believe, well, if it happened once, it can happen again. What do we need to do to get back to those halcyon days? What is it that I can do to turn things around? They fail to understand that it's an illusion. They fail to understand it was a manipulation. They fail to understand that it's actually a form of abuse in itself. Thus, the victim remains preoccupied by believing that they can get back to that golden period, and thus they hang in there. 2. The children. This is commonly a reason why individuals don't leave the narcissist and make their escape, the presence of children. The desire to avoid a custody battle, the necessity of remaining to protect the children from the worst behaviours of the narcissist. The likelihood is, save in the most horrendous of instances, a narcissist may well be able to maintain some form of contact with the children, and the non-narcissist individual is keen to ensure that that does not happen when they're not around, because they feel the need to protect their children from the worst behaviours or the malign influence as a whole of the narcissist. For Harry, on the basis that you accept that the children do exist, he similarly He has emotional empathy for his children. He loves and wants to protect them. And therefore, he, first of all, doesn't want to be away from them in the sense of what would happen if he and this one's wife split up. And moreover, he may well have witnessed poor behaviour on the part of this one's wife and feels a necessity to defend the children. This is a very common reason why people stay with the narcissist, because they can't bear to be away from their own children, should the narcissist gain time with them, and furthermore, to protect their children from the worst excesses of the narcissist's behaviour. Number 3 is pride. Harry has strong narcissistic traits, one of which is pride, and he doesn't want William to be able to say to him, "I told you so. I told you were moving too fast. I told you she was trouble. I said it, other members of the family." Harry has become competitive, even more so with William in the last few years, and he doesn't want to give his brother the satisfaction of being able to say, "I told you so." He wants to prove William wrong. Number 4. This is also linked to pride. He saw what happened with his mother and his father, that they had a relationship which foundered, and it was played out by the world's media. He doesn't want to go down that same route. He wants to show that he can actually do it, that he can have a marriage that endures and that lasts, unlike that of his father with his mother. He doesn't want to reopen the wounds, or perhaps pour salt in them, by going down the same road. And as a consequence of his strong narcissistic trait of pride, he wants to avoid the loss of his marriage because it's too great a replication and reminder of what occurred between his own parents. Number 5, blackmail. It's undoubtedly the case that Harry will have passed on certain information to this one's wife, believing that this was the right thing to do. Pillow talk, of course, takes place between many partners, but even more so with Harry, given the information that he's privy to as a member of the royal family, the things that he's seen, the things that he knows, and also he's been duped into believing that he can trust this one's wife, that whereby she has exhibited false compassion towards him to take care of his supposed vulnerabilities, he initially believed that she was someone that could be trusted. Furthermore, in moments of petulance, where he has complained about the behaviour of other members of the royal family, he will undoubtedly have said, "Let me tell you this about William. My father once did this. You'll never guess what Uncle Andrew did." Although, of course, this one's wife would be sat there, pretending she doesn't know, looking like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, but she all knows about Uncle Andrew, for reasons that I've explained separately. The fact is, he will have passed information on in relation to his family. She'll also be party to the dodgy dealings that Harry has been involved in, and the consequence of this is that he fears that she will leak this information and use it against him should he try and escape her. Remember, the narcissist has no moral scruples, no conscience, no sense of guilt, just that desire for control, for fuel, for character traits, for residual benefits, and therefore she would readily blackmail him in order to prevent him from departing. Number 6. Threats with regard to Harry's behaviour. Adjacent to what I've just explained, but separate nevertheless, Harry, as we know, has a penchant for the booze. He also likes the recreational pharmaceuticals, and it's highly likely that this one's wife, as a middle range type A narcissist, will have issued threat after threat after threat. "If you don't do what I want, Harry, I will tell them about all of your boozing and all of your drugging. If you don't do what I require, Harry, I will tell them that you mistreat me. If you don't do what I need, Harry, I will tell them that you're a bad father. Remember, I have the evidence," she will threaten. Mid-range narcissists love using threats. They're economical. The power is in the threat rather than its execution. They don't want to damage their own facade by seeing it through. And there's a host of reasons which I've explained in a separate video about narcissists and threats. Please do watch it. But the fact is, owing to his own behaviours and his indulgences, she will threaten to expose the times when he's been bonged out of his brains, lying asleep on the compost heap, undoubtedly having filmed him and taken pictures of him, and she will also have made up stories about mistreatment with regard to her and the children. That is common narcissistic fare, and she will hold that over him as a threat. Remember, there will be plausibility in this. Harry, as a consequence of his strong narcissistic traits, will at times have lost his temper and shouted at her, and she will use that as evidence of him engaging in domestic violence towards her. Number 7, the expense. It will prove expensive to Harry, and he's already under financial pressure. His money has been whittled away by the fact that she is high maintenance, there aren't deals on the horizon, and ultimately, were she to divorce him, the demands would be significant, and this would place a massive financial strain upon him, which would necessitate him having to go cap in hand to his father, and the Bank of Pa is currently closed to him. Accordingly, the potential expense of a divorce is another factor which keeps him in situ. Number 8, his lack of options. It's a case of the better the devil you know for Harry. After all, he doesn't have a proper job. He's been estranged from his family. He doesn't have any mates, not real friends in the United States. He has no route to return to the royal family. All bridges have been burned. Doors are thoroughly closed. And in effect, he clings to the poisonous life raft that is his wife. Again, this is a typical consequence of the narcissist's behaviour, that in seeking to assert control over the intimate partner primary source, they sever the support networks of that intimate partner primary source, and by making the victim spend so much time with them, the victim readily goes along with this isolation, only realising when it's too late that they've burned bridges, that they have cut themselves off as a consequence of following the narcissist. Harry's left wondering, but where would I go? Who would I see? Who would have me? His royalty has been tarnished. He has no viable options, and therefore it will also be the case that he's more likely to cling to what he knows, no matter how much it's hurting him. Number 9, pride. Yes, pride once again. The media will have a field day if there is divorce. Harry hates the media, particularly that of the UK media, and the gloating and the told-you-sos and the wall-to-wall coverage is something that will infuriate him. And again, he doesn't want that to happen. Finally, number 10. He's kept trapped by her, trapped in the marriage, because he simply doesn't understand why it's not working. On the face of it, life should be a bowl of cherries. He has a huge house in the Californian sunshine. He's got 2 children, if you accept they exist, that he adores. He's there with a life in the sun, which should be relaxed. There is, or was, plenty of money in the bank. This one's wife married him, a prince of the realm. She got the fame that she desired, the money that she desired, the contacts that she desired. So why isn't she happy? Compared to many other people's lives, they have so much privilege, and yet she still lashes out at him, still complains, still berates him, still belittles him, still humiliates him. Why? Why can she not just be happy with her lot? This is something, again, that the victim of the narcissist, who is the intimate partner primary source, commonly questions. Life should be so sweet. We've got everything going for us. I've got a good job. We live in a lovely house. We've got great family and friends. We have money in the bank, opportunities, privilege. And yet she always seems to find the simplest thing to complain about. Why? She never seems to be happy. Why? And the fact is, of course, the narcissist is never happy, because the narcissist doesn't do happy. And you are in the sustained devaluation, which means no matter how good things would look to a third party, when the narcissist looks upon them, they're awful. And thus he remains trapped by looking around him and thinking, we've got this idyllic life, and yet she's still not happy. I just don't get it, because he doesn't understand that he's ensnared by a narcissist. 10 reasons why Harry remains trapped with this one's wife, and why escape isn't something that's immediately going to happen. Indeed, if it might happen, it's more likely as a consequence of intervention. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.